Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Dallas Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com. I am Fort Worth Star Telegram columnist Mac Engel. I'm here at home in Dallas, Fort Worth. My partner in crime is not in Dallas, Fort Worth. He is where the NFL is right now, which is the NFL Combine in the place where I grew up, Indianapolis, Indiana, which is a balmy 67 degrees, unseasonably warm. Clarence, why don't you give us a little weather update about central Indiana these days?
I mean, it's beautiful. It's unseasonably warm. And, I got all these clothes. I got these layers. I got my long johns. I was prepared, to walk the streets of Indiana, because you have to walk the streets with the combine. It's like a NFL convention that goes from morning, noon, and night. And when I mean night, I mean the Jerry Cowboys busted at one of the prominent steakhouses at 3 a.m, and you have to network,
bump into people. Yes,
network. You have to network. You have to burn the calories at both ends, son. You got to do that. You got to do that.
I did those a few times, and I have to admit I don't really miss it. But it's because it's changed so much.
Too old. I just want to let you know. I found my like, man, I'm too old for this. I'm too old for this, and I'm not drinking right now because I'm taking a little sabbatical. And when you're sober, it's really like, what am I doing out here?
Like I want.
When you're drinking, okay, at least you go, okay. That joke was funny. When you're sober, that joke was not funny.
Yes, you're like, why is everybody laughing? There's nothing entertaining about this. Like, what is? I don't see what's fun about this. Yes, we've all been there. But good luck and Godspeed on, I guess, in your alcohol hiatus. Although I got to admit, you picked a hell of a time for it.
I mean,
to do that at the NFL Combine.
Well, I started doing Fat Tuesday, and that was a struggle there. But yeah, it is what it is. You got to do it. You got to show some discipline. I'm showing more discipline here.
Well, speaking of discipline, the Dallas Cowboys offseason right now has been full of discipline. They actually had their first meeting with the media at the Combine today, so you were there for that since the season ended against the 49ers in the divisional round a couple months ago. I guess we can say a couple of months ago now. Mike McCarthy met with you all, the local reporters. Mike usually does that. Big offseason news from Mike McCarthy is that he will be this team's play caller. And Clarence, Mike McCarthy's the play caller. Does that get the Cowboys to the Super Bowl?
It's interesting, and I don't know if you can hear me because I think you're breaking up a little bit. I know it's
no. I can hear you fine. I can hear you fine. Go ahead.
The thing about it is with Mike McCarthy, the play call, just talk to him. We will find out. He did. I know no one gives him credit. He did win a Super Bowl as a play call with the Green Bay Packers, but just talking to him, he feels like he's like a kid in the candy store right now. He feels like a kid again because he gets to run his own ship again. He was the overseer, the CEO of the Cowboys offense for the last 3 years. When he came to Dallas, he let Kellen Moore call the plays because he felt it was best for Dak Prescott, and he was a walk-around head coach. And, after a second straight 12-5 season and lost to the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs, he decided for the Cowboys to take the next step. He needs to take over. He needs to go back to doing what he feels he does best and call plays. There are some philosophical differences he had with Kellen Moore and his offense, and he wants to run the ball more. Just talking to him today, he feels that, what he wants to do as a play caller will help Dak Prescott make better decisions and cut down on turnovers. The Cowboys also run the ball more. His zinging line was, I don't want to be the number one offense. I want to be the best football team. I don't need to be the number one offense. Those, they had the number one offense with Kellen Moore in 2022 or 2021. And I think they had it again in 2019 and Jason Garrett last year, but they were 8-8, as a football team. And his philosophy and what he wants to do is going to help the Cowboys play better defense, run the ball more, make Dak Prescott and offense more efficient. That's what he hopes will be the difference in taking the Cowboys to the next level. You got to understand that this was Mike McCarthy's idea. He brought it to Jerry Jones, who was an unabashed Kellen Moore fan. That's why he was still here. We all say off the record, one of the keys to Mike McCarthy getting the job was that the promise to keep Kellen Moore as offensive coordinator and play caller, which he did for 3 years. And now they've done that and they've moved on. And the Cowboys backed their head coach. When the head coach wanted to make this move, the Cowboys backed him. Ownership backed him. They're committed to Mike McCarthy. Will it be longer than a year? Because the bottom line is this: he's going into his 4th year.
Mm-hmm.
He's head coach on a 5-year deal, and it feels like you're 12-5, 12-5, which is something the Cowboys haven't done in a long time. But he may be coaching for his job. If he's coaching for his job, he wants to do it his way.
And he should. They're not going to fire him after the year unless they go 1-16 or something or whatever. They're not firing him. This is not some Sean.
They lose in the first round again. You don't think?
No, because this isn't like a Jason Garrett thing. Although, you certainly can draw analogies to it, but they're pretty good. It's really not that much different than when Jason Garrett was the head coach.
Well, that's the problem. He was not hired to duplicate Jason Garrett. He's hired to be better than Jason Garrett.
Technically, he has done better than Jason Garrett. Now, you could say his teams have been a little bit better than Jason Garrett, but it doesn't matter. He's been a little bit better than Jason Garrett.
The results, not just a little bit. Take the next step. Do what Garrett didn't do. Garrett is taking them to the divisional playoffs. Garrett has won a playoff game. Get to the NFC Championship game. Get to the Super Bowl. That's what I mean being better than Jason Garrett. They have not done that yet.
And in that regard, he's been the exact same, which is they've been competitive. They're good. They're a top 10, 11 team in the last decade plus.
Well, as Stephen Jones will point out, the Cowboys have won as many games the past 2 years as anybody in the NFL, save for Kansas City. Yep. They just haven't done the playoffs. Regular season football, 12-5, 12-5. No one's done that. No one's won more games than the Cowboys, save for Kansas City.
And you can make a really good argument, Clarence, that since about 2014, at multiple times, the Cowboys have had the best team in the NFL. Multiple times.
During the regular season. At parts during the regular season. Yes. Not at the end of the season.
They've never timed it in January, ever. Right. And so who cares, right? Okay, you had the best team from the middle of October to December 5th. That's great. But nobody cares. Nobody remembers it. But they have. And multiple times with Jason Garrett, they had a damn good team. Multiple times under Mike McCarthy, they've had a damn good team. Whether or not this change makes them a better team in January, well, we'll wait to see how that plays out. I don't think it will, but at this point, Mike McCarthy had to do something. I give everybody involved credit for recognizing, listen, we've got to change this, because if we just keep doing it again, then who's to say that the exact same results aren't going to happen to us again? We know how this plays out, so we've got to do something different. Before we move on to our next topic, I'll be a little remiss to not mention our good folks at Window Nation for sponsoring this episode of Cowboys Overtime this season, last season, as well as this season coming up. So thanks, Window Nation, for being with us this season, or this coming year and here in 2023. Okay, Clarence, you've covered Dak Prescott since he was a rookie out of Mississippi State. And one guy in his ear since he walked in the door here with the Cowboys has been Kellen Moore, either as a teammate, a quarterback coach, and now an offensive coordinator. In your opinion, did Dak Prescott need a new voice in his ear other than Kellen? Does he need somebody else?
Well, it's funny because I'm on the fence, because I don't think there's anything wrong with a new voice. I mean, he's had great success in development and becoming the quarterback he's been under Kellen Moore. My issue technically is that he threw 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions in 2021. You gave him less weapons in 2022. When you got rid of Amari, you got rid of Cedric Wilson, you had a horrible receiving core. And now you're saying that the difference is a new voice. How about getting him some more weapons and a new voice? Okay, how about getting him, some playmakers and a new voice? Because we all know the biggest difference in that, besides the interception, the biggest difference in that 49ers game was the loss of Tony Pollard, one of his only two game-breaking weapons in the game. So, yes, there's nothing wrong with change, nothing wrong with new voice. He may have gone as far as he can go with Kellen Moore, and long as, Mike McCarthy said we're still committed to Dak Prescott, we still think he's our future at quarterback. It's going to be built around Dak Prescott, but we want to do things to help him out in the new voice with the new offense. We're going to protect him better. We're going to run different routes to give him better opportunity to throw the ball. And we're going to run the ball so it's not always on him to throw the ball 45 times a game.
Well, the thing that bothers me so much about when people evaluate Dak Prescott last season, we talked about it here on Cowboys Overtime. Other people did too. Those interceptions are on his ledger. Good or bad. But, man, there are a lot of those picks. A lot. They were on the receiver. who they just couldn't catch a ball that was right there. Peyton Hendershot had a pick that should have been on him in Tennessee. The last pass of the game at Jacksonville, that was actually a really good ball that Dak threw, considering the circumstances. I don't think a new quarterback coach or a new offensive coordinator is going to change that. Now, if they want to change up some other things like Mike's talking about, that's fine. But I think in this regard, putting that on Kellen Moore is unrealistic. This is about personnel, and you hit the nail on the head. You didn't give this guy weapons. You did not give this guy legit upper-tier NFL players. You gave him NFL players, but you didn't give him upper-tier NFL players. And you've got to quit asking him to be something that he's not. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not. But he's good. He's really, really good. But quit asking or thinking just because you gave him a pile of money and you think he's going to be one of those guys. He's not. But are you going to tell me, hang on. Let me ask this one question. Are you going to tell me that Jalen Hurts is better than Dak Prescott? Do you think Jalen Hurts is better than Dak Prescott?
I don't know, but I know he had better weapons this year.
Thank you.
I know he had better, and I would say the same thing. But you say it's not Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow has two of the best receivers in NFL.
No doubt about it.
And you can say Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has maybe the best tight end in NFL history. It's going to be in that conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, you and Mahomes on a different plane.
The guy's always open. No, I agree. We love Mahomes.
Yeah.
We love Mahomes. He has arguably the best tight end in NFL history, even though he lost Tyreek Hill. He got a guy that's always freaking open for whatever reason.
He lost Tyreek Hill, and it didn't matter.
And he had a play caller that somehow found schemes where he has guys wide open with no one around him in the Super Bowl twice.
All right.
So give me a scheme that allows my guys to be wide open
twice.
Yes, you're great.
That touchdown one was just utterly ridiculous how they did that. Okay, we got more to talk about here on Cowboys Overtime on StarTelegram.com. But first, a message from our good friends at Window Nation.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no payments and pay no interest until 2025. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Thank you, Window Nation. Back here on StarTelegram.com, I am Mac Engel. He is Clarence E. Hill Jr. from the NFL Combine. And beautiful tourist trap, Indianapolis, Indiana, especially in February. Maybe not so much March. February? MTV Spring Break. Okay, let's move on to another subject that will never go away until June.
Never. Well,
ever.
We'll be decided before then.
Yes. Really?
Well, yeah, they have to make a decision. Let's get to the topic. But they can't wait. Even if he's a June 1st cut, they will make a decision in March, okay?
Okay. So the topic that just will not die for the Dallas Cowboys is the status of veteran running back Ezekiel Elliott, who's still under contract for another $85 billion, but whose production last season fell off to terrible. Just couldn't play anymore. Tried. Good pro, just not there anymore. We've heard 5 different things. Stephen Jones says, no, we want him back, but it's got to be at the right price. Jerry Jones says, we want him back. So right now, according to the Cowboys, everybody's coming back, including Zeke. Now, we know it's not.
Mike McCarthy wants him back, too.
Mike, everybody wants Zeke back. Clarence, cut through the BS. We've seen this many times before with other veterans, Terrell Owens, Des Bryant. Now, those were different personalities for sure, and you can't discount that. But anybody who watched Zeke last season would tell you he's not the same guy. They ran him into the ground. He tried. Great blocker. Well, I don't even know if he was a good blocker anymore. He had pass catching issues, which were never a problem. But last season, he just wasn't the same player. He wants to come back. We're on March 1. Clarence, what is the future of Mr. Ezekiel Elliott as a Dallas Cowboy?
I mean, I think it's yet to be decided, but I just don't know how you can bring him back financially. And then,
even if he took a pay cut to nothing, could you bring him back?
Well, the problem is if he takes a pay cut to nothing, then what else can he do? I mean, backup running backs have to play special teams. They have to do something else besides be a backup running back because we're gonna, stop the charade of Tony Pollard being the backup running back. Tony Pollard is going to be the starting running back, the main running back, the feature back in the Cowboys offense going forward. And the question is, even if you drop him, and Zeke says he's willing to take a pay cut, and certainly it's something the Cowboys will discuss. But, what do you drop him to and what do you cut him to that's not going to be insulting? He's not feeling so that's going to feel comfortable with. And again, should you? I mean, because cutting his money doesn't put more juice back in his legs, and which is really the issue. The production, the juice in the legs. Certainly talking about McCarthy, there's some things they can do in the running schemes that could, yield better results. But if it yields better results for Zeke, it should yield better results for other guys who, have more juice in their legs. And there's this thing in the draft where they picked 26th overall, and there's this guy in Austin named Bijan Robinson who could be available, who's nasty, or the kid Gibbs out of Alabama could be available in the second round, or maybe one of the guys at TCU in the later rounds who you could get in the draft and be very productive in the running game. Certainly you're going to need someone to run with Tony, but, why not go with a rookie? I mean, why not go with one of those guys, and so those are things that the Cowboys are discussing. Yes, they want Zeke back, but the decision of what their room looks like has not been made yet, and Zeke being gone is a definite possibility.
Okay, we have seen them let these situations play out for far too long against the players' best interests, where they just let them kind of hang in the wind. They did it to Dez Bryant. That's the one that really jumps off the page. Do you think they'll do that to Zeke, that this will linger until late May, 1st of June?
No. I think this will be decided early. I mean, certainly they'll be decided at some point in March. You have to decide if you can get a deal done with Tony. And if you can't, then you're going to, put the franchise tag on him. So that's already $10 million. So you're not paying Zeke and $10 million and Tony $10 million. So you have to make a decision on, do we, getting the number down if we're going to keep him or getting rid of him. And, I think that with all respect, much as they love Zeke and much as they respect Zeke and much as they like Zeke, if they're going to move on from him, then they will give him a chance to sign with someone else.
Good. That much I hope they do. That was the thing they did with Dez Bryant that always irritated me, was that they let Dez twist in the wind before they cut him. Because you've said it before, I've said it before, anybody who's followed the Cowboys for any length of time, the Cowboys move on one clock, theirs. And when it comes to those player decisions. So is your prediction two things? Do you think Tony Pollard plays the season under the franchise tag?
I think he does. I mean, I just don't know. I think, I wrote today about the cautionary tale of Ezekiel and how that impacts, Tony Pollard's contract and whether they draft a guy or not. And Tony Pollard does not have the baggage on his legs, on his back. He doesn't have a lot of carries. He has juice in his legs. He's 25 years old. But we know the cautionary tale of Zeke. I mean, do you give a running back a multi-year deal? Because when it goes, and it goes quickly, and they can just fall off a cliff. And I know, as a guy who made $900,000 in the final year of his rookie deal, if they give him the $10 million franchise tag, he's not turning that down.
No, absolutely not. The only question is, does his agent think, wait? And his agent's not. He's going to sign it. Okay, let's go on to one more subject here on Cowboys Overtime before we wrap this up. We talked about this a lot in November, I think. And certainly in the first part of December, but now we're into March. The Cowboys need wide receiver help. This particular player in question should be healthy because he really wasn't last season. Are the Cowboys going to re-enter the Odell Beckham Jr. sweepstakes, or have we moved on from that?
I mean, I think
crap
that,
show.
Talking to the Cowboys, they really like Odell. They really like him as a person. They don't buy into the Kardashian distraction that he is sure to bring. I mean, there's some stuff there that goes with Odell when he comes, and and it's going to be some of that. He's friends with the Kardashians, and you're going to the Jenners and all that other stuff, and you're going to get some of that. But as a locker room guy, as a worker, they said that everybody they've talked to, swear by the guy, and it looks like he's healthy. Obviously it can become a choosing for him. I know Buffalo's going to go after him, and some other teams, the Giants still want him. They're going to go after him. What's also true is that the Cowboys need a speed receiver. They need a guy that can stretch the field. That's what they're looking for to pair with CeeDee Lamb, a guy that, a speedy guy, kind of like T.Y. Hilton, but who's younger and still has, can play longer. So I think it's something, Jerry talked about revisiting it. Stephen Jones talked about something they will revisit. It's not off the table, but I don't know if it's the biggest priority for the Cowboys when they look at receivers in free agency. But they will add a receiver in free agency and in the draft.
Okay. Is Odell Beckham that guy anymore? You're talking about a guy who can go stretch the field the way T.Y. Hilton did for the Colts 5 years ago. Odell hasn't played since the Super Bowl last year, and he's over 30. What?
I don't think he's a stretch the field guy. My point is, I think they're looking for more of a stretch the field guy than Odell Beckham type. Odell is more like CD. He's a productive receiver, and he's run after catch guy and all that other stuff. But he's not like we love CD, but CD's not a stretch the field guy either.
No. He's not Jamar Chase. He's not.
No. He's not
Jefferson or Diggs or up in Buffalo. He's not. Clarence, last thing about before you take off, they've got other guys coming up. Leighton Vander Esch. Who am I missing? Tyron Smith. A big decision.
Tyron Smith is still under contract, but there's a question about him and his salary and how that fits as a backup rather than a starter. Leighton Vander Esch is somebody that they must decide outside of you got Donovan Wilson at safety they want to keep. They got some decisions on some guys. You got Terrence Steele is a restricted free agent. They also want they want to keep him as well. So they have decisions on guys in free agency that they have to make it. Again, outside of Zeke, do you cut Tyron Smith or do you make him take a pay cut? What does that look like? But they want talking to everybody. They want Tyron Smith back. They would have to like to have Leighton back, but can you trust his health on a long-term deal? And I think that he may get better money somewhere else.
I think he will get better money someplace else, but I think his best place is to play here because they know him. But you're right. I mean, that injury is a ticking time bomb. And the fact that he lasted, he had a great year. And he really had a good season. And
he still missed 3 games.
He still missed 3 games.
Yeah.
But if you think you can get that guy back, resign. Absolutely. Think about how long they committed to Sean Lee. And Sean Lee, you couldn't trust him for 3 quarters. But he was a huge part of that locker room. He was a big part of that coaching staff, even though he wasn't hired as a coach. Okay. Clarence, I know you've got stuff to do today. Thanks for joining me. Enjoy Indianapolis for all of your Dallas Cowboys coverage needs, and specifically to follow what's going on at the NFL Combine. Make sure to follow Clarence. He's in Indianapolis. For Clarence, me, Mac Engel. We'll see you next week here on Cowboys Overtime.